views expressed are solely those of the speaker and not necessarily those of Paltalk.com, AVM Software, or its advertisers.
News Talk is online. News Talk Online is a production of Paltalk.com, the largest multimedia interactive program on the internet with more than 4 million unique users on demand on iTunes and on YouTube and on my blog, GaryBaumgarten.com, where you're encouraged to post your comments, whether you agree with yours truly or not, no retribution, and where you can subscribe to my Twitter news feed where I update issues that you might want to discuss here on News Talk Online and elsewhere on Paltalk throughout the day. And thanks to our good friends at CRN Digital Talk Radio, we're syndicated to an additional 12 million households. I am your host, Gary Baumgarten. Welcome to the show. Well, President Obama is in Trinidad, sadly without yours truly. I should have gone to cover this one for sure, for the Summit of the Americas, meeting with 33 of the hemisphere's 34 other leaders. Cuba, not a democracy, not invited, though Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez, who supports Cuba, is expected to make waves and attempt to seize the spotlight from Obama, and some of the other nations are saying that they wish that Cuba was involved as well. But in spite of the fact that Cuban President Raul Castro will not be there, Cuba is expected to be a major focus of the summit, which comes on the heels of the Obama administration announcing that it is easing travel restrictions to the island nation for Cuban-Americans who wish to visit relatives there. But other Americans, with some notable exceptions, are still not free to visit Cuba, and the trade restrictions, which date back to the Cuban Missile Crisis nearly 50 years ago when John F. Kennedy was president, remain in effect. Obama has signaled that he might be willing to ease some of those restrictions as well, and Castro, speaking in Venezuela, has indicated that he is willing to discuss all issues, including human rights violations with the United States. Now, this is a striking departure from the long-held policy when his brother Fidel was president of not discussing internal issues with the outside world. Well, joining us to put this all-important summit into perspective on today's News Talk Online here on Paltalk.com is former congressman and author of the book Trade and Freedom, Jim Backus. Jim Backus served in Congress as a Democrat from Florida. He is the former chair of the appellate body of the World Trade Organization and is now a partner in the Washington, D.C. law firm Greenberg Traurig. Jim Backus, Congressman, I will call you, because once a congressman, always a congressman. Welcome to News Talk Online on Paltalk.com.
Well, thank you, Gary, and feel free to call me Jim. I don't use any of my former titles unless I'm forced to do so, whether Congressman,
okay, well then,
or whatever.
I will be. Then you may call me Gary. You don't have to call me not Congressman Gary. Now
I'm no longer to blame for what they're doing up on the Hill.
Yeah, that's true. Nobody wants to take responsibility for that. You've been out a couple years, so you don't have to wear that albatross around your neck. Obama, you believe, needs to reassure the other leaders that the United States recognizes its role in the Americas. I take it you're quite critical of previous administrations and their failure to recognize that we, the United States, are neighbors with the people the president is meeting with now in Trinidad.
I want to be fair to President Bush on the issue of the United States and its role in the Americas. I think when he came to the White House, he had every intention of strengthening our ties with our nearest neighbors, especially Mexico, where he had some personal experience. And then 9/11 happened. He was distracted. He never really got back to that. But toward the end of his term, I think he was trying to renew the traditional ties we've had with many other countries in the Americas. He was taking a number of trade initiatives, first in Peru, pending trade agreements in Panama and Colombia that are still pending. But too much of what we were trying to do in the Americas, I think, was similar to what we seemed to be doing in the rest of the world, which was trying to dictate to the rest of the world what they should be doing, telling them it was really our way or the highway. So far, President Obama is taking a different approach worldwide, and this was his first opportunity to change the tone hemispherically.
You know, some Americans, many Americans, first of all, are very happy about this new diplomatic initiative by this administration. I am one of those who was very frustrated over the past 10 years of the opportunities that I believe were squandered by the previous administration, especially with regard to the Middle East, although let's not open that can of worms here today and concentrate as much as possible on this hemisphere. But to that degree, I think many of us are happy, but there are those among our fellow Americans who are concerned that the president is too apologetic when he steps off of U.S. soil, as well, by the way, as the Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton, with regard to their acknowledgement of the past transgressions of the nation. Do you think that there's a balancing act here that the administration has to follow, and perhaps it's leaning a little bit too far in the other direction in order to change the image that this nation has with the rest of the world?
I think the President and the Secretary of State are striking just the right tone. I look at the front page of the Washington Post and the New York Times today, and I see evidence that the United States has been torturing people. This is wrong. This is un-American. This is what Fidel Castro did for decades in Cuba. These are the things we oppose. If we've done that, we, at a very minimum, need to apologize for it. I think we have a lot that we need to reckon with. There, too, I think the President is taking the right approach. He's trying to move forward in the world. He has an open hand to our friends. He has an open hand even to our adversaries, to give them a chance to talk to us. We lose nothing by talking with these people. The President has proven he's willing to be tough when he needs to be. He proved that with the pirates off the coast of Somalia last week. He'll prove it again. We're doing what we need to do in Afghanistan now, in my view, what we should have done long ago, which is fight the right war rather than the wrong one. And he is, I think, striking the right tone, as is the Secretary of State. I don't see that as a concern at all. And I think over the long term, our ability to assert our national interests is directly related to our willingness to listen to other countries.
Our guest is Jim Backus, B-A-C-C-U-S. He is the former congressman from
Actually, it's B-A-C-C-H-U-S.
H-U-S.
Yeah,
Oh, my
for those
goodness.
who want to Google me,
I really apologize, because with the spelling of my name, I am extremely sensitive about that issue, and we will correct it on everywhere we